Yeah, it's Shanaz. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Renee here, LOWKEY GEEK, and like the title says, I am reviewing and I just watched the new Borat 2, the Borat Subsequent Moviefilm that just released on Amazon Prime. And to be honest, I wasn't really quite sure what to expect from the sequel to the infamous Borat movie that came out 14 years ago. I think when that movie came out back in that time, it was a surprising hit and game changer when it comes to political commentary and parody, and social parody and social experimenting, because we were living in a world that didn't know anything about Sacha Baron Cohen, and his cast of characters. He had his show on HBO, but it was like a tiny program that not a lot of people were aware of. And the things he was able to do and get away with back then was something that we've never seen done on film before. And it was quite hilarious. And I think the most surprising thing was how many people he was able to fool and trust and believe that he was an actual foreign reporter, just trying to understand America and their ways, and coming to this country with his own beliefs and naivety, and people just bought into it really quickly. But since that became such a big hit, and obviously Sacha has done other movies with his cast of characters and all that, how was he going to get away with doing it again when the general populace and everyone out there already knows who the character is? So I was hesitant to see how this movie turned out, but I was very curious nonetheless. And I must say that it was pretty funny and entertaining, however, in a very different way this time around. They do address the fact that Borat is well known very early on in the film. And, I'll try not to give too many spoilers here, but let's say 14 years ago, he made this movie for his country. He comes back and, we left the first movie with him kind of, being like the hero of his town. Well, it turns out that he wasn't so much a hero, and he had a lot of things to answer to, because basically they became a laughing stock because of the movie and all that. So he's given a chance to make amends, and the whole premise of the film was to try to get to Vice President Michael Pence to present him with an offering, right? And you see this all in the trailer, so it's not anything different. But very early on in the movie, they do address the fact that he's already well known, so he can't just be walking around looking as Borat, So, as seen in the trailer, he does take on multiple personalities by dressing up in various costumes and all that, and that's how he gets around. However, Borat is more like a secondary character here. Huge kudos, and the stealer of the whole movie is really his daughter, portrayed by actress Maria Bakalova, who's a very unknown actress, and she was so funny and really, really, it was really fresh to see her kind of take over that Borat role that we saw from the first movie. Now, even though she was hilarious, and Borat had a lot of moments, and the dynamic they had together really worked well, this movie, you could kind of feel like it was a little bit more scripted than the original. The original, you felt that there were many scenarios where he just rolled with the punches, found himself in these situations, got himself to these interviews, and people were really caught, blindsided by his antics and all that. Here, I did get that sense that a lot of the situations were more controlled. Yes, it's true that maybe they were able to have certain scenarios where the people involved were not fully aware of what kind of character he or his daughter was. But you could tell that, or at least I could tell, or I had the sense that a lot of it was really more controlled than the first one. One thing I will say that they did really smart and brilliant here was that you could tell that the movie was originally made with one storyline and one kind of plan, to get to a certain point. But because of COVID and the pandemic, it looked like they were able to do an audible and kind of switch the movie halfway. And they played around with it, and they were able to really dive deep into the situation that was currently happening with the pandemic. I mean, it was very well known that he was filming this movie weeks before even the release today of the movie. So you could tell that they were like moving things around and filming last minute stuff to kind of play to the new narrative that they were going forward with. And I think it worked really well. Again, still, it felt a little controlled, and I wouldn't say 100% scripted, but there were moments where I did feel like the people that they were involved with were really part of what was going on, at least to a certain extent. You know, maybe they were told one thing and to go along with this, and then he kind of threw in his own, you know, plans and dialogue and activities and antics and all that stuff like that. So definitely a different sense than the original movie. I think being able to capture that lightning in a bottle that the first movie presented itself was going to be a tough undertaking for the sequel. Now, not to say that this sequel doesn't have its moments. Like I said, they had a lot of funny moments, and you could tell that there were definitely scenarios where people were not aware of what was going on. You know, the moment with the Republican convention, it wasn't really exactly a Republican convention, but the convention where Michael Pence was at, you could tell that nobody there had a clue of what was happening. There was a moment where he took his daughter to a debutante ball, and you could tell that was also another scenario where no one had a clue of what was going on. But let's get down to the one part that took Twitter by storm, and that's the Rudy Giuliani interview. Okay, if you were not aware, it hit Twitter literally yesterday, which is if we're looking at the time now, Wednesday, 2 days before the movie released on Amazon. You saw pictures of Rudy Giuliani in a very compromising situation where he had his hands down his pants on a bed with a female in the bedroom with him. Now, the female was the daughter of Borat, who took on a reporting personality. Again, I won't explain how that came about. Basically, she was the one who was interviewing Rudy Giuliani. Now, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt here because I've seen it play out. The reason why he had his hands in his pants, or his hand in his pants, because he was actually tucking his shirt back in. Now, it looked very awkward, and the way he went about it was kind of weird. But basically what happened, and this is probably the only spoiler I'm going to provide you guys with here. She was attempting to take off his microphone that he was wearing, and she was like basically pulling his shirt out of his pants. So as she did that, he then was trying to correct himself and fix himself up by putting his, you know, shirt back down his pants. Now, I will say he felt very comfortable doing it in front of someone he just met, especially someone who he was informed at the time of the interview that she was a young girl, she was a reporter, and, you know, outside of the camera people, they were there pretty much alone. And during the interview, they were drinking. There was alcohol involved. And I will question what made him think it was okay to go into a bedroom with her after she suggested, hey, let's finish our drinks in the bedroom. So take it as you may. It is a very unusual, awkward situation. But like I said, the one benefit of the doubt I will give him is that his hands were not fiddling around with the nuts and bolts down there. He was attempting to correct his shirt and attire because of what was happening and because she pulled the shirt out. However, it just goes to show you how much of kind of like a clown he's turned out to be. Even the way he kind of handled and conducted himself during the interview, it's kind of unusual to think that this was once a person who united New York during 9/11, and he was the talk of the town, and now look who he's become. It still baffles the mind. But Anyway, all that aside, that's basically what happened, and that is pretty much the main finale of the movie, which kind of led towards the end of the movie. So it's a short movie. It's only like about an hour and a half. It did, fly by really fast. I did feel like the first movie did feel kind of long at times. Believe it or not, just before I watched this movie a couple nights ago, I actually rewatched the original Borat all over again, and it's still pretty funny. However, the humor that you saw back then, you weren't sure they were gonna be able to get away with that type of humor here. Now, there is certain humor here that is pretty off-putting, especially with the people and the persons involved that he is involved in. But they really hold no punches here. They really attack a lot of the political landscape within the country happening during the filming of this. They really go forward and go, really pounce on the current government and Donald Trump and all that. They did this really hilarious thing where an animation company did this Disney-like animation that's kind of like Cinderella, but it involved Donald Trump and Melania, kind of like how they met for the first time. And my God, that is probably one of the funniest things I saw in this movie. And when you watch the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. But overall, the movie was entertaining and enjoyable. It doesn't hold, to a certain standard like the first movie. And when I just say standard, meaning comical and kind of like that shock factor too. Because like I said, the way the first movie came out and kind of hit us by surprise with how funny and how really they went at kind of the landscape of the time and how they were able to fool a lot of people. It's kind of hard to replicate that, especially now that, like I mentioned before, he's just very well known, and this type of humor has been seen already over and over again. So don't expect it to be as good or leave you with that same sense you felt when you watched the first movie, whether you liked it or not. But still, they were able to get away and manage certain things here. So if I were to rate the movie now, at the time when I first saw the original Borat, which I saw in the theaters actually, I would have gave it at that time a 5 out of 5, right? A 5 out of 5 thumbs up. That's what we'll call it this time. But when I rewatched it recently, it doesn't really hold up like it did back then. I would still give it a 4 out of 5 thumbs up here. So what I'll rate Borat 2, Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, I will give it 3 out of 5 thumbs up. Like I said, it is entertaining. It's not terrible, but it doesn't really hold as close to the humor and the shock value of the original Borat. But then again, that is a really tough challenge, and that is like very hard to try to replicate there. But have you watched the movie, or are you planning to check it out? Let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and what you think about it when you do catch it. And let's have a conversation. Again, I do live streams on Twitch where I have conversations with a lot of people that come in through there and watch me play games, if you don't mind watching someone playing games. But it's really all about the conversations and talking about anything, and I'd love to talk about this movie and have conversations with you guys about it. But thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and stay tuned to the channel for more movie reviews and the weekly podcast. So until next time, Junkui. Oh hey guys, thanks again for watching. If you want to check out my other videos, make sure to access them through this menu that you see on this side of the screen. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or hit that logo you see right here on this side of the screen. I've always wanted to do that. Catch you next time.